Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. When people first step into genealogy, it feels like the whole world opens up online. You type in a name, and there's a census record from 1900. Another search, and you're looking at a ship passenger list. Dig a little further, and an old newspaper clipping pops up with your ancestor's name in bold print. It feels like magic, and it gives the impression that everything worth finding is already on the internet. That's where the myth comes in, the belief that all of genealogy is now online. The truth is very different. Experts estimate that less than 20% of the world's genealogical records have been digitized. That means the vast majority are still offline, waiting in courthouse basements, local historical societies, church archives, or boxes of papers that may not have been touched in decades. Some of them may never make it to the internet at all. It's not hard to see how this myth took root. Companies like Ancestry, MyHeritage, and FamilySearch have put billions of records online. FamilySearch alone adds millions of new images every day. When you're new to research, it can feel like an endless supply. Add to that the commercials promising discover your family in minutes, and it's easy to believe you're getting the complete story with just a subscription and a search box. But what you're really seeing are the most accessible collections. Censuses, military indexes, passenger lists, and some vital records. They're valuable, no doubt about it, but they're just the surface. The deeper layers of family history still require offline research. Think about probate records. Online, you may find an index that says when someone died and that a will exists, but the full probate packet, often only available in the courthouse, might be 50 pages long. Inside are lists of children, itemized belongings, debts owed, and sometimes arguments between heirs. That packet tells you far more about your ancestor's life and relationships than an index ever could. Land deeds are another example. Online indexes can hint at transactions, but the full deeds usually live in bound volumes stored at the county level. I've seen deeds that name not only the buyer and seller, but also the neighbors, who turned out to be in-laws. One family in Illinois assumed their ancestors were lifelong renters because nothing popped up in an online search. A courthouse visit revealed 2 property sales, and suddenly their story included land ownership and community ties that weren't visible before. Church records are some of the richest resources, but many haven't been digitized. A baptism in a small Catholic parish might list godparents, and those names often reveal siblings or cousins. A marriage record may note where the bride and groom came from in Europe, details that never make it into online databases. I've seen families stuck for years on an immigrant ancestor, only to break through by writing directly to a parish that still held the original register. The information was never scanned, never indexed, and would never have been found online. Then there are manuscript collections. These include diaries, letters, scrapbooks, and family papers that sit in historical societies. They're one-of-a-kind treasures, but scanning them all would take decades and enormous resources. That means the only way to access them is to pick up the phone, send an email, or walk through the door of the archive. Accuracy is another reason not to stop at the internet. Online collections often rely on transcriptions, and transcription errors are common. A German surname like Schoenfeld might appear as Schoenfeld in one index, Stonefield in another, and Schoenfeld in a third. If you take those at face value, you might think you're looking at 3 different families when it's really the same line. The original record clears that up, but you only see it if you dig beyond the digital version. Let me share a few stories that show the difference. A researcher in Pennsylvania found a marriage abstract online. It gave the bride and groom's names and the year. That was it. When she tracked down the actual marriage record in the county archive, it included both sets of parents, the occupations of the bride and groom, and 2 witnesses who were later proven to be brothers. That one trip pushed her tree back another generation and added context she never would have had online. In another case, a man in Wisconsin was certain his family had never owned land. Every online search came up empty, But a dusty deed book in the courthouse told a different story. Not only did his great-grandparents buy and sell a farm in the 1870s, but the witnesses to the sale were relatives connecting two family branches. That discovery reshaped their understanding of the family's place in the community. And sometimes the only breakthrough comes from reaching outside the internet entirely. I've seen researchers write directly to a church in Europe asking for help with an ancestor's baptism. The parish priest pulled out the old ledger, found the entry, and mailed back a photocopy. That single page confirmed the parents' names and the town of origin. Without that, the immigrant line would have remained a mystery. So how do you move beyond the myth? It means making peace with the fact that online databases are just the beginning. Visit courthouses, explore local historical societies, write to churches, borrow city directories and local histories through interlibrary loan, tap into state archives for military rosters, tax rolls, and manuscript collections. Don't forget microfilm. FamilySearch and state libraries still hold reels that contain records not yet digitized. The most successful genealogists use both worlds. They start online to gather names, dates, and locations. Then they go offline to confirm, expand, and add richness. Finally, they return online to share their findings and look for new leads. That cycle, online, offline, online again, is where the breakthroughs happen. So, is all of genealogy online now? Not even close. The internet has changed research forever. It's fast, convenient, and powerful, but it's only the starting line. The bulk of the world's records are still offline, waiting in courthouses, churches, libraries, and archives. If you stop at the internet, you'll only ever see the surface. The real story is this: online records can point you in the right direction, but offline records bring your ancestors to life. They hold the details that reveal personality, struggle, and connection. If you want more than just names and dates, if you want the full story, you'll have to look beyond the screen. That's where the depth lies, and that's where genealogy turns from simple searching into true discovery. To find ancestor you're stuck on, I'd love to hear about it. Just head over to ancestralfindings.com and click on Contact to send me a message. While you're there, take advantage of our free weekly genealogy lookups. Explore thousands of articles and enjoy hundreds of podcast episodes. We've been helping family history researchers since 1995. And if you're looking for even more, check out our Genealogy Gold Q&A series over on Patreon. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy searching.